Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Berber in the 3-minute pool on ICC. He offered a chance to go into the Carocon, but I did not take it. And now, this is kind of a weird system. I guess I'll play d6, probably. Yeah. I'm going to adopt a Samisch formation, just because this is something I'm used to. Let's put the bishop on g5 this time around. Usually the bishop goes on e3 in this line, but I think in this case it's okay. Now I'm going to drop it back, and I'll play queen d2 and try to gain a tempo on his pawn, is the idea. Now, do I gain the tempo, or do I play c5? I like the look of c5, so I'm going to do that. Common idea, so trying to preempt his b5 move. Alright, so here I can trade queens maybe. Yeah, let's trade queens, and then I'm thinking I'll play knight c1. Send my knight to d3. Looks like a useful square. I can also go knight b3. Maybe that's even better. I like that better because a5 could be a good way to put pressure on his pawn here. Make him defend it with his rook in an awkward way. Like rook b8 probably is what he'll do. Now I have some interesting tactical possibilities. Like maybe taking on a6, he takes, I take on c6 with the knight, forking his two rooks. It's probably a little unsound, but it looks very interesting. I could also just castle and enjoy a positional advantage. I don't want to think too much and just kind of spoil this, so yeah, I'll just castle. I might do that, though. I might do the capture on a6 if I get a chance. He goes there, attacking the c5 point. Knight a4. Now let's just go b4. He's pretty tied down right now. He needs to be able to break with b6, but I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment. So if I go knight here, I would hang my a2 pawn. That's annoying. So maybe this move, bishop c4. I wonder if he can play b6, however. He might be able to. I have a great positional advantage here, but I'm not sure if my position's stable enough. Yeah, like this b4 pawn is undefended. So b6. I really got to think this is good for me, though. I'll just take, and when he takes on b4, I'm going to play king c2. h6 is hanging now at all times. If he does that move, I was going to play knight a4 and guard this. Now I'm actually threatening a3. His bishop is pretty much trapped. Yeah, that's a trapped piece. Don't think he saw knight a4. So he's going to play bishop takes a3, knight takes e3, take on b6, I guess is the plan. That's fine for us. We'll just do that. It's totally fine. Really, that move first, huh? Okay. Take. Let's just bring this in. We'll simplify a little bit. His bishop's still hanging. He has to address that. He has way too many things just hanging in this position. So, completely winning now. He resigned. All right. So we'll go back and have a look. Don't see this move order too often. c6 on move 1. Black would presumably have to be a Carocon player, since white could play e4 and take the game into a Carocon. But I just played c4. I don't think there's any way to take advantage of this move order necessarily, because assuming he's going to go d5 on the next move, it could just transpose to a Slav. This is a little unusual. e4 and now d6. So we kind of get into like a King's Indian position where black has played a very early c6. I'm sure there's a number of good setups white can choose here. I just chose one that I'm comfortable with, playing in Samisch fashion. I think bishop g5 is interesting rather than the stereotyped move bishop e3. So I'm trying to provoke him into playing h6 so I can come back and, yeah, then this pawn is a constant weakness in his position. There's some tricks to know. Like, let's say he had played e5 here, and I go like, oh, I don't know. Let's say queen d2, knight bd7. Let's say take, and then pawn takes. White can't take on h6 right here because of a trick that every King's Indian player should know, and players from the white side should know too. If you want to pause your recording, you can do that. So black to move. How can black take advantage of white's last move? Okay, the answer is knight takes e4. And the point is that after white recaptures, let's say with the knight, then queen h4 check is picking up the bishop and reestablishing material equality with a good position for black. So that's a trick that both sides have to be aware of in this line. As played, however, he went a6 and I went c5. That's just so he can't go b5. I'm giving myself the option, if he does go b5, to either take en passant or take on d6. And if he had played b5, I've actually had this position a couple times, but without the pawn being on h6, so it being on h7 instead. And I think that inclusion must help white because queen d2, even though I'm technically not threatening that move yet due to that same knight takes e4 trick, it will win me a tempo pretty soon, I think. So that's my thinking on this line. So he played just take on c5. I took e5. This endgame looks good for me, though. I like this. I have a good chance of binding the queenside. I am going to consult the computer's opinion on this position because I was looking at this move. And the point would be after this to take here. And even though, let's just say, I don't know, it doesn't matter too much. Rook a8, take here, take here. Even though black has two minors, I have rook plus two pawns, and the hope is that the queenside majority becomes a big problem for him, and that I can start activating it later, probably after getting my rooks coordinated and my king to safety, play b4, a4, b5, and just roll them with those pawns over there. I almost pulled the trigger on that. I just wasn't sure in this position about the move rook a8, x-raying my two minors. And then I looked at like this briefly, but after this, I think I lose one of them. Yeah, and I'm not getting enough for it. So let's just see what the computer says about bishop takes a6. Yeah, rook a8 is a good reply. Knight takes b7. Notice if I take with a bishop, then a5 hangs, so that's no good. So knight takes b7, rook db8 with advantage. Yeah. Okay, so good thing I didn't go for that line. I instead just castled here. b4 looks good. Yeah, as I was saying, I had a big positional advantage I felt here because it's hard for him to move his queenside pawns, and he definitely doesn't want to keep his rook defending the b7 pawn at all times. That's not favorable for him. But the only thing that gives me pause here is the fact that my b4 pawn's undefended. Like, if I had one more tempo to play like a3, it becomes a lot more difficult for black to break free. So, you know, he'd love to play a move like this if it didn't immediately lose to knight takes c6, forking the two rooks. So he went here. I played bishop c4. Computer says I should play the consolidating move a3. Yeah, this move is just very important to my structure. It extends the base of the pawn chain. And if he were to play b6 now, I think I can probably just take and then win his a6 pawn. Yeah. It's so nice not to have to worry about bishop takes b4, forking my two knights. That's very, very nice for me. But I played bishop c4. I think this move is also pretty good. Yeah, I was expecting him to play the immediate b6. And I was trying to consider what happens after take, and then maybe I was thinking knight b3, just to defend c5. But he might be able to break things up, like, I don't know, even something radical maybe, like this. Just to cause mayhem before I settle into a comfortable structure. Like, now my structure is definitely better. He's got these isolated pawns in the center. So maybe he should have done that. Maybe he should have played b6. Instead, he took, and I think this position is very difficult for him. Yeah, if he can't break out, I have such easy play. You know, I can double my rooks on the d file. I can bring my king up a little bit. I can bring my knight back to a5 later if I want to attack b7. This knight will probably get maneuvered somewhere, maybe like knight a4 and into b6, or even back to b2 and into c4 where the other knight was. There's too many easy plans for white. So this move might be a mistake. I should take with the knight, huh? Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight a4. Okay. This is actually... Didn't this transpose to the game continuation? So I took with the pawn, he took here. Okay, so if he had played c5, c5 is a nice move. Then the situation is unclear. Yeah, because c5 x-rays both my knights on the c-file, which are right in front of my king. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't see c5. So for that reason, it would have been more accurate for me to do this, so that if this, and then c5, yeah, it's not as big of a deal. He'd be only x-raying one piece, so like knight a4, c
Check.
takes b4 check, king b2, and b6 is defended. White looks to be basically winning here. Okay, so that was his major chance that he had, but he passed that up. He took here, and now king c2, and he can't really break the b6 point, my stronghold on b6. That's rough for him. Yeah, and then knight a4, and this bishop is a goner. a3 is coming. I probably spent a little bit too long deciding whether to play a3 or not, 18 seconds or so. I was just trying to think, like, if I could delay that move for a moment, like maybe play rook b1 first to strengthen it. But I'm under a minute, I should just move, and I know I'm winning. Just convert the position. Yeah, and he resigned at the end because I'm going to win h6 and win f7 too. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that against GM Burber. And please leave me any feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.